And away we go. Oh boy, what a day I had. And I'm not just talking about the FIFA World Cup, one of the semi-finals between England and Argentina. A lot of stuff have been running my mind recently, and I still question how am I still coping? How on earth have I not gone insane yet? But hey, at least I'm still here. I'm in good health. I have a roof under my head, and yeah, the worst that is yet to happen is not even close to happening, at least in the next decade or two. So yeah, with that being said, let's see what me, Eric, and or Risk have sent in the podcast group chat. And there's nothing. Well, I was planning to send something into the group chat for Eric and Risk to look at. However, I didn't have the time. And again, I'm not just talking about the FIFA World Cup semi-finals. FIFA World Cup has been going about, and yeah, lots of events going around it, and meeting family and whatnot. So yeah, I've been quite busy quite recently, so and it's a good kind of busy. I enjoy moments like this. It's the only moments of happiness that I have left. So, with all of that being said, and now let's see what is in the news. Or at least I've said what I said. Enough of that. Wildfires expose millions in the Midwest and Northeast US to dangerous smoke. Massive plumes of wildfire smoke from Canada are shifting into the United States, bringing dangerous air quality to more than 100 million people across the Midwest and Northeast this week. A record-breaking heat dome centered over the Midwest and Ontario is driving this event, with its northern edge perfectly positioned to funnel smoke east and south into affected regions. Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin officials issued air quality alerts as dangerous pollutants from Ontario wildfires drift into the region, posing health risks to children and those with heart or lung conditions. By Thursday, intense smoke will spread into the East Coast, including New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington. National Weather Service meteorologist Tyler Hasenstein advises residents to limit outdoor activities and keep windows closed. While activities remain below record-setting levels seen 3 years ago, fire seasons are becoming longer and more intense due to climate change, keeping the door open for future smoke plumes. I was just thinking, and this is somewhat related to both the story and what I'm doing right now, just seeing family and whatnot. In my years of my lifetime visiting family in Brazil, specifically in the state of Goiás, when I was young, when traveling on the highways to and from the major cities to see family and towards Brasilia from Goiânia, I've noticed when I was young that there would be wildfires, and it's very common, not just because it's hot. The climate in the state of Goiás in Brazil is very dry. For some reason, just as I'm visiting, not saying that these wildfires in central Brazil aren't happening. Yet they're happening a lot more rarely. And even though at this time of year, as I'm recording this, it is pretty much past a couple of weeks of the June solstice, so meaning it's pretty much winter in Brazil, as opposed to being summer in the UK, the US, Canada, and so on. The grass across Goiás is a lot greener than what I remember when I was a child. Now, I'm not sure what the current or previous Goiás governor has done with the state in terms of the climate or the ground and vegetation wise. Not bad, pretty good job. I'll give them that. In regards to what's going on in Canada, the US, or at least anywhere in the North Hemisphere, the trajectory of these events is tending to be the opposite. I'm hearing a lot more often about wildfires at this time of the year, specifically summer in the Northern Hemisphere, than in previous years. Now, I don't have a definitive answer to that particular scenario. However, even if climate change is anything to go by and the core reason why these fires are happening, I do believe there is a solution to tackling or at least reducing the impact of these wildfires. Why not have these drones, yeah? Fill them with water. Doesn't matter which kind of water, so long as it is the kind of water that is clean enough to drink. Not that it should be advised to drink that water, so long as the water itself is clean and is suitable for watering the vegetation. Using the water-fueled and tanked drones, spray the water from the drones from the sky onto the ground below. And I would advise, out of all the times, at any time, to water the vegetation across any given land area, I'd advise a couple minutes before sunrise, or maybe within the margins of sunrise. So that way, by the time temperatures start to get a little warmer, the ground and the plants and the trees have already been given enough nutrients in terms of water and moisture to withstand whatever severe heat effects is to come from the blistering waves of summer. That's just my idea. Not sure how effective that idea would be. Anything like it would be much better to combat wildfires than to just trying to build resistance for the ground to withstand wildfires. Like, in small scales, just intentionally burning it, so if heat waves do come about again, they can just withstand the dryness and the fires and other related stuff. Not sure how that adds up. I'd still suggest and advise, if people would follow it to the best of their ability, close to sunrise, get the drones, spray water from the drones from above onto the ground below, so that when the summer rays come about, the plants, the trees, and the ground have enough moisture to, well, not catch on fire. Why do you think people get dry wood in order to make a campfire during the night time? That's just my logic. If something's dry enough, it's easy enough for it to catch on fire. If it's wet, well, it stays moist. There's no chance of catching any fire. Unless it's gasoline, then you better keep your social distancing from wherever the oil is set on fire. So yeah, that is all I will say on that regard. William gutted for England after Argentina inflict World Cup semi-final sorrow. On Wednesday, Prince William posted a personal message on Instagram following England's semi-final loss to Argentina, writing he was gutted, while praising the team's effort throughout the tournament. The three lines led through Anthony Gordon's 55th minute strike, but late goals from Argentina ended England's hopes of reaching a first World Cup final in 60 years. Manager Thomas Tuchel faced heavy criticism for late defensive substitutions, with Wayne Rooney calling the approach tactical disaster and suggesting the team lost belief after taking the lead. England now faces France on July 18th for third place, as the squad aims to recover from the semi-final defeat. and finished the tournament with a strong performance. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer praised the team's passion and energy on Twitter X, noting that while the result disappointed, the squad made the nation proud throughout the tournament. And despite the scandals, the bias, and the blatantly obvious corruption from the insides and the higher-ups, England did pretty well, especially against Mexico in Estadio Azteca. I didn't think England would have beaten Mexico in the round of 16. Not just because of the high altitude, like 3,000 feet, miles above sea level. Also, the home advantage that Mexico has by playing in Estadio Azteca and having the Mexico fans in the stadium, in close driving distance from the stadium. And yet, somehow, England came on top in that game. And whatever matches came after that, it was all looking good for England. Well, until now, as I'm recording this. Now, as for the issues in question that a lot of people online are calling out for reasons that is becoming so hard to ignore, I will say Argentina, given how much an advantage in terms of referee bias they had, they did rather well, especially with the 2 goals they scored. And of course, even though people point out that the referee for that match, Ismail El Fat, who was also the referee for the MLS, which is the league that Lionel Messi is currently competing in. Messi described Ismail as his favorite referee because every time he refereed the match that Messi would be in, Messi's team, whether it be Inter Miami in the MLS or with Argentina in Copa America, Messi's team would win that match where Ismail El Fat would be the referee for that match. And even though I did say that he may be Messi's favorite referee, he certainly wasn't Argentina's favorite referee, because Argentina has been given a couple of yellow cards to their players, which was bound to happen. However, people would argue that Argentina wasn't given enough yellow cards for fouls that they have committed. At least that's what I've heard from people online. Nonetheless, I will say in defense of Argentina, though many people won't like it, Argentina have done quite well in the tournament so far. And yeah. Now let's see what Spain does in the final against Argentina. Will Messi win his second World Cup, or will Spain manage to that a lot of people have been praising Spain for, given the opponents that they have faced, which have been pretty tough, mostly. I will end off the story with, well, what happens What happens after the tournament? Well, we all know what happens next. The branding, the banners for the FIFA World Cup gets taken down. The stadiums that have been used will be back to usual operations for the teams that play in those stadiums and the events that host in those stadiums. And as for the players, well, it's back to the clubs they are signing their contracts with. And anyone talking about the GOAT debate between Messi and Ronaldo, that ended years ago. And even if Ronaldo and Messi are still doing pretty well, given the age that they're at right now, it's over. It's over now. I don't know what else football fans want from the GOAT debates. It's over. The players have won what they won. They have managed to dominate whatever leagues they're in, mostly. Anything else that Ronaldo or Messi do in their careers is just a plus. They don't need to prove to the world anymore about what they can do. They've already showed what they can do in their prime. They can announce their retirement from the game in the next few months this year, and everyone, whether it be right now or in the next few years, they will remember the legacies of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo as being one of the greatest football players of all time, achieving levels that are not even human. I can't imagine any soccer football player even coming close to the stats, the accolades, the domestic championship titles that these two players have achieved during their time as players. Now, it could be argued that Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe, as good players as they are right now, they could come close. However, only time will tell how long Mbappe or Haaland continue playing in their careers into the 30s or 40s. I'm telling you right now, the levels of Ronaldo and Messi, well, for the most part, will be unbeaten for the next two generations. And when I mean by generations, I'm talking about 20 years tops, roughly, in terms of how we define generations of Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Millennial, Gen X, Gen Beta. Good grief, Gen Beta. I feel sorry for the Gen Betas compared to the Gen Alphas. Who come up with these names, honestly? So yeah, that's the end of that. That's the end of soccer, football, and other stuff. Life goes on, and the history is in the making, or most of it's already been written already. Suni Lee announced his return to gymnastics about 2 years before the Los Angeles Olympics. On Tuesday, Olympic gymnast Suni Lee announced her return to competition targeting the 2028 Los Angeles Games. The 23-year-old is pursuing a third Olympic appearance after taking a break following the 2024 Paris Olympics. Lee, the 2020 Tokyo Olympics all-round champion, overcame a chronic kidney disease diagnosis in 2023 that nearly ended her career. She later earned team gold and bronze medals in the all-round and uneven bars at the 2024 Paris Olympics. In an Instagram post, Lee stated, "This isn't about proving anyone wrong," emphasizing her return centers on personal discovery and testing her limits. She explained she is giving herself one more chance to discover what is possible. Fanatic Studios and Cookie Jar and A Dream Studios have greenlit an untitled documentary following Lee's return to competition. Director Anna Chai will capture the athlete navigating personal and professional challenges during this defining chapter. Lee is the latest member of the 2024 United States Olympic team to announce a bid for the Los Angeles Games. Fellow gold medalist J.D. Carey has already returned to competition following the Paris Olympics. It's good to hear that Suni Lee is doing well, despite hearing about the kidney disease diagnosis. No matter the challenges, the physical limits, and whatever obstacles holding athletes back, good to see Suni Lee is still pushing forward to competing in gymnastics and doing the best that she can for the United States. And as for the documentary that is yet to be given a title, I'm not sure how successful that will be. Of course, she has a sizable following within the sport. However, regardless of the attention that this documentary gets, it will only be a bigger win for Suni Lee than there are the losses that people would point out, which there aren't that many. Because now, I'm not saying that people don't care about gymnastics. I'm not saying that people don't know much about Suni Lee. I see there are more wins for her than there are losses. She doesn't have much to lose. She has a lot to gain. I will say that. So yeah, to all the athletes in preparation for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games, best of luck to all of you. I wonder if the high-speed rail project in California is going to be done in time. Probably not. However, one can hope that something is done and is in operation to prepare for whatever the big-scale event that is yet to come, and so on and so forth. Rare T-Rex fossil sells for record $50.1 million at auction. On Tuesday, a 67-million-year-old Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton named Gus sold at Sotheby's in New York for a record $50.1 million, becoming the most expensive fossil ever auctioned. Landmark sales of T-Rex specimens such as Sue, Stan, and now Gus have brought significant attention to fossils as collectible objects, driving investment and discovery in the field. Gus features a skull about 82% complete with full rights, meaning it contains no copyrighted casts from other dinosaurs, and shows bite marks and fractures the specimen survived. Paleontologists generally believe that once a fossil enters private hands, it is lost to science, as journals refuse to publish research on specimens that cannot be reliably reproduced. The buyer's identity remains unknown, but the new owner could license or produce casts for museums, potentially becoming a competitor to the established fossil stand in the market. I don't see why not. Now, of course, it won't be the same not having the original pieces to the fossils of the dinosaurs. Yet, if a mold or a duplicate mold of that fossil can be replicated and it fits in perfectly with the fossil, that's great. Otherwise, as much as I can't argue with auctioning fossils as they are very valuable, there is a need to continue with the research of these dinosaurs. I'm not sure what else to add to this, yet it is worth noting that we have learned that fossils of any prehistoric specimen go for a lot of money, especially if it's a particular fossil that is belonging to a very unique, specific category of animals in the animal kingdom. We won't know until we know. It's very circular reasoning. Yeah, that's all I know. There could be more that I'm yet to know. However, that is it. That is all that's been said. And that is it for the episode.